You're watching Dumas ISD TV.
They're going to throw it down the middle. They have Johnny Marquez open. He's at the 40 of Canyon. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. Johnny Marquez will score. What an answer for the Dumas Demons.
A one-play answer, no less.
He's back to pass. He's looking downfield. Now he throws it down the middle. Dumas is there with an interception. And that's Johnny Marquez with the ball coming back toward the Dumas sideline. That may be, is it Johnny?
Yes.
All right, and he's at the 20, and he finally gets thrown out of bounds at the 18-yard line. Back to pass is Mills. He throws it across the middle. Has a receiver open. It's going to be caught. Back to pass is Mills. They throw it back to Escarcega. He on a screen play. I think he's in for the score. Yes. Touchdown, Dumas Demons. Back to pass. He's looking deep downfield. He's throwing it deep downfield. Has a receiver open. It's going to be caught into Canyon territory. Here comes a man in motion back to the left, but they're going to hand it to Eduardo. He has a big opening. He's in for the score. Touchdown, Dumas Demons, Eduardo Hernandez. He's back to pass. Here comes a blitz. He steps up into the pocket, and now he throws it down the middle looking for Emino Marquez. He has it! He has it on the 1-yard line.
I think it's touchdown.
Touchdown, Dumas Demons. Here comes the receiver back to the right. Colton takes it, rolls to the right, throws it. It's going to be Coley on the catch. Second down and 1. Back to pass is Colton. He throws it over to the Canyon sideline. It's caught, thrown out of bounds. Back to pass is Mills. He's going to throw it down the middle. Looking for Emino. He grabs it. What a catch. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. 20. Touchdown. Dumas Demons. 85-yard pass and catch. Here's the snap. Lopez is going to roll left. He's going to throw it down the middle, and it's going to be picked off. Emino Marquez. Back to pass is Mills. He's going to step up, throw it deep down the middle, looking for something, and it's caught. Touchdown, Dumas Demons. Mills is going to take it back to pass, look left, steps up into the pocket. He has a running room. He only has one man to beat, and he is going to be down, I believe, at the 1-yard line. To the right, he's back to pass, and they're going mano. Johnny Gutierrez, and I think he has it.
Incredible.
Touchdown, Johnny Gutierrez.
What a catch. He was double teamed.
Back to pass is Colton Mills. He escapes the rush. Now he throws it downfield. It's going to be caught, and that's going to be Coley, and he's in for the score. Touchdown, Dumas Demons. Saying there's 2 seconds on the clock. This will be the last play of the game.
O-line got blocked out.
39-yard field goal. Here we go. Zamarippa ready to go. There's the snap. The kick's on the way, and the kick is... It's good!
We did it! We beat him, baby!
Yes,
Let's go!
Yes,
Send them home! Let's go!
That's just like what they won last year.
That's exactly like it.
Oh, yeah.
What a senior night in Demon Stadium.
You're watching Dumas ISD TV.
All right, welcome to week 12 of the Coaches Show with head football coach of the Dumas Demons, Aaron Dunnam. Coach, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you, Zane. Appreciate you having me.
This is season game number 12. I guess it's actually week 13 of the season, since the season officially started.
Sure.
Playoff game number 2, Dumas Demons getting ready to take on the Lampasas Badgers.
That's neat. It's crazy. Like I think there's been some figures that have been shown and talked about. I think something like 465 miles between Dumas and Lampasas, and 564 miles between Dumas and Cheyenne, Wyoming. So this is a Region 1 playoff game. We could actually a mile shorter to be into Cheyenne, Wyoming than we could to Lampasas. So,
wow.
Pretty neat matchup.
That's pretty amazing. Well, let's talk about last Friday night. Dumas Demons get a big victory over El Paso Austin in a familiar opponent, but it was one that we really weren't sure going into what we would see. Dumas wins the game 56-21. And again, it's the third season in a row we've played them. But El Paso Austin has not been 9-1 the other two times that we've played this team.
No, we played them early in the season, I think around maybe week 4. And so when you look at them, I think one of their first district championships in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you look at paper and you look at their scores and you look at everything, you're just, we're very impressed about what they've been doing. And so they had every bit of our respect and all of our attention. And so we were, you watch them on film too, they execute really well. They had been scoring 40 plus points almost every single game. So we weren't for sure. We thought we were going to get and come out in the game, the very first series, like exactly what we thought, a team that's going to heavily run and going to pound the football. And they did that. And, we just stayed true and continued to, we did want to score fast and we score fast and quick, which we did, jumped up on them 7-0. And then, but again, really, really good football game played on Friday night.
I feel like your team executed very well. You kind of just mentioned that offensively, but also you were able to, after that first series, you were really able to do what you were wanting to do defensively as well.
We did. I think it was important, to win the line of scrimmage, something that, we really didn't do on the first series. But again, credit to them. I mean, anytime you put a 265-pound running back in the backfield versus a 175-pound running back, I mean, that's just not great matchups. And so we had to do a better job of controlling the line of scrimmage, getting more hats to the football. And I think we did that as the game went on. We looked like we just got stronger and stronger, and people really started becoming comfortable with, with their assignments and what they were doing. And we were really, really getting a lot of guys to the football and did a great job defensively.
Each week, I mean, how is that like for you guys? I mean, I know that there's a game plan. You talk about these things, but until you actually see it from the team that you're going to play, I know that even the scout team, you try and simulate those things. But it's hard to simulate, again, especially what El Paso Austin does. But even each week, until you actually get on the field and they begin to see it and see the game speed of those things, it is something each week that they kind of have to adjust to. But once they get into it, it's like, okay, things begin to click.
Sure, there's always going to be adjustments. And I think the biggest one is just speed of the game. Mm-hmm. What they had been seeing all week in practice wasn't quite coming at them quite as slow as it was. It was coming with a little bit more speed and different people. And, we really don't have a 265-pound tailback that we can put in and really show, what they were going to do. And so there always is the shock factor until you can, and I'd rather not have to give up 7 points before we can settle in. But sometimes it happens,
sure.
And understand that it's a 4-quarter football game and there's a lot of ball to be played. And we did. We settled in and played really well after that. Again, I don't think defensively gave up another touchdown until the very end of the game where we had 9 freshmen on the field.
Yeah. Dumas scored 56 points. You ran 31 offensive plays. Now, one of those touchdowns did come from special teams. But again, very efficient. I thought that was an unbelievable thing. I didn't realize that until I was putting all this together. And I thought, wow, that is crazy to score 56 points and run 31 plays.
Been playing well offensively all year long. We really have. And so that was great to see. And we knew that we had to do that. As you say, 31 offensive plays. We thought we would have limited, plays on offense. We thought we would. And so we talked about how we need to be explosive and we need to make sure, that we're real productive and we're scoring on every possession that we have. And so I didn't know that stat either, but 31 offensive plays, 56 points. I really like how that happened.
The flip side to that is El Paso Austin ran 59 plays. And like you said, I would say we held them with our guys to 7.
Sure.
Just that first drive. But again, I think defensively, again, you did what you wanted to do. Got out of our guys what you needed to get out.
Sure. And that's, I didn't realize that either. I really didn't realize how many plays they had. But as you look at that, it was exactly what we thought we were going to get coming in. We thought we'd have limited possessions offensively. We thought that they would attempt to control the football, stay on the field, and that happened. So what it does show, it shows that our game plan was, what we thought, and our kids executed it really well, and we did exactly what we needed to. I think that we took control there. There at one point, when after their pick six, it was again just a one-score ball game. Never any panic. Our kids just believed in what we were doing and just continued to execute, and we eventually separated. And I think the punt return was big as well. Because we needed to execute on all three phases of the game, and I thought we did that on Friday night.
Colton was great. I mean, and granted, you really look at him. He basically played one half of football, 10 of 12, 187 yards through 3 touchdowns.
Very efficient, 10 of 12. Again, I thought we were. He did a great job. On the pick six, that was. We didn't do a great job of protecting him. A defensive end got in there and tipped his arm, not allowing him to finish through. Created a high pass, overthrew his receiver. Besides that, I thought our receivers did a really good job. I thought he was very efficient, running, controlling our offense. And again, just, it's crazy how you see this as well. And I think we'll probably talk about it, but just how our receivers, how things are changing with them. And if it's not one guy, it's another one. So,
let's talk about the guy that was this week, and it is James Coley. He had 5 catches for 86 yards and 3 touchdowns.
And the week before, it was Emmett had 3 catches for 3 touchdowns. Here we are, 5 catches, 3 touchdowns for James Coley. So it's just really neat. But I think that speaks volumes of our kids, and just understanding that maybe one night might not be theirs, but just wait, because it's going to be you the next night. And so we're excited about the way that our receivers are playing. Those kids are doing a great job catching the football and very explosive when they get the ball in their hands.
The next guy, again, he's becoming Mr. Reliable, is Johnny Marquez. 3 catches, 82 yards, touchdown. There's really not a night that goes by where you think, well, didn't see much tonight from Johnny Marquez. There's going to be something that he does every Friday night that's like, that is only a play that Johnny Marquez can pull out.
Sure, I think you're seeing the explosive play ability of him. You can see what we missed for the 4 to 5 weeks that he was not in the game. He's very electric on both sides of the football, and again, that the play that he made, the wheel route down the sideline, running through the tackle, being explosive. So that was a really neat play to see.
And then ZJ again, very similar to last Friday against Pampa. You get a small sampling size, but in what he was able to do, you're like, this kid is really starting to get it. He only had 3 carries, but he did have 64 yards and a rushing touchdown.
Again, shows his ability as well. When you get the ball in his hands, he can really make some things happen. Just ready. I'm sure he would want more than 3 carries, but every time his name's called, he's very, very productive, doing a great job of extending the play. And again, I think you're going to continue to see he's really starting to get comfortable. Just a sophomore. Again, has had limited reps this season as well. I just think you're going to continue to see him grow and continue to get better with the experience that he gets on Friday night.
Let's talk about these guys on the defensive side. Shooter led the team in tackles again. He had 13, had a tackle for loss and a fumble recovery. Eden Laura had a really good game. Xavier Kuroga, Ray Thornburg. We're going to about mention the whole defensive line. Cody Austin, but then even Kelton Dill, and we can talk about some more freshmen as well. Kelton had 6 tackles in the couple quarters that he got action. A lot of kids got to play. There was a moment, you already mentioned this, where we had 9 freshmen on the field at once. It was a neat night. I thought that our regular guys, our normal guys, were really good in doing the things they needed to do, but also even putting our underclassmen in that got to play. They really kind of, I think, showed a lot of what's to come for Dumas. This team is going to be special.
We do. I mean, we're really excited about our young kids, and so anytime that you can get to a playoff game, you're usually looking and hopefully that you can get maybe some of your JV kids in, but we got them all in. We got our JV kids in, and then at one time defensively had 9 freshmen in playing as well, and they were. I thought they were holding their own. They were doing a great job of executing, and there at the end, they just got a little bit overpowered with some bigger guys and gave up a touchdown. But really excited about the challenge that we had for our defensive guys, because it was they were showing to be averaging 40 plus points a game, and so it was really good for our kids to get in there. I think Shooter Coon again, a guy that we challenged early in the week, just because it was he was going to have to be physical. He was really going to have to get downhill and tackle. I thought he did a great job of that. I think early too in that first series, we were really talking about how we had to get down low and tackle. I think our target was a little too low. We were tackling at the shoestrings. Yeah. So as we got to the sideline, we really had to just communicate. We had to bring it up a little bit more. We were missing some tackles, be a little bit more efficient, change our target up to their thighs. And then I thought our kids did a really good job of finally getting around to the football.
They really did. And I know that, again, this game was a little bit different because you changed a little bit in the way of how you attack things. But Kuroga, Race, and Cody Austin, I can really felt like we're doing things they need to do to get actually in the backfield and make tackles for loss.
Sure, we did. We were a little bit different. With the style of offense that they were running, we felt like we needed to do some adjustments as well. We took a corner off the field. We put another defensive lineman on the field to really strengthen, to beef up our D-line a little bit like we needed to do. Just didn't feel like it was a game. We talk about mismatches. We talk about a 265-pound tailback, and that really doesn't go well on a 140-pound corner.
Sure.
So it's just not we needed to get him off the field. Wasn't a whole lot of covering that he was needing to do. Get a bigger guy on there. But our defensive line, I thought, did a great job. We talked about how we needed to win the line of scrimmage, how we had to play in their backfield, and I thought we did. You talk about Xavier, you talk about Race, you talk about Cody Austin. Cody Austin's a kid that we thought he had a great game. We thought he was really tough. There were some times there early in the game, I think he tweaked his knee a little bit, but just didn't want off the field, wanted to keep fighting, wanted to keep playing. And really, we thought he stood up and did a really good job of being tough and controlling the line of scrimmage because our defensive line is not the biggest. They're not. We've got one of them's about 180. The other one might be 195, 200 pounds. And then Xavier's our biggest one. But, we're really, really proud of the way that those kids play and the toughness that they showed on controlling the line of scrimmage.
I want to also talk about execution on special teams. I feel like in most games, our guys haven't got opportunities because people know, who's back there. And so they don't get the ball kicked at them. They don't get opportunities to return. The Imanol, I think, actually returned 2 in the game. And one of them got called back. And then we also executed what I thought was a great onside kick. And I don't know what the video showed, but I think just barely offsides on the play.
Really close.
But again, you still executed what you wanted to do on that play, got the ball. And I know that we had to re-kick it and kind of do things over there. But again, being able to see the guys execute those things that you practiced and said, okay, if we can do this, we think it's going to work. You did it, and it did.
Sure. Yeah, no, we did. We'd watched video, and we thought that was a way that we could steal a possession. As we talked to, every possession was going to be very important, and we needed to steal another one. And we thought we could do it on special teams. So we did work that all week long. We challenged our kids, and we executed it really well. Just, no kids just trying to make plays. Got them really, really excited a little bit there, and it was close. It was close, and so it was called. So it's definitely we got to be better at that to make sure that we can gain that possession. But I thought anytime in the playoffs here, you've got to win on all 3 phases, and maybe a few special teams plays, an onside kick or even a very well executed punt could be the difference in ball games here in the playoffs. And so you got to be hitting on all 3 phases.
But even Aaron Arantia taking the opening kickoff, he bobbled it, but the play was set up and blocked well and had a big return, which allowed us, again, a short field of being able to score quick. It was just like, you might not say, he didn't even return it all the way, but he did get 30 yards.
Set us up for great. Anytime you set our offense up on their side of the football field, that was about 4 first downs that our offense didn't have to get. So that's the way we look at it. And we had watched video, and we thought that we would have an advantage on special teams. That was, it's not an off down for us. It's not something that we approach and say, hey, let's get all of our starters off the field. Let's get all of our backups in. No, that's just another opportunity for us to take advantage and win the game.
Well, Coach, let's move on to tonight's opponent. It's a brand new opponent. Dumas has never faced the Lampasas Badgers before. It's a team that had a very good regular season. They finished 8-2. They were second place in their district to the number one team in the state. Their only losses came to Waco University, who made the playoffs. They lost last week to a really good program in Fort Bend Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
That's 5A Division II. Their only other loss was the number one Stephenville.
They are. No, a really good football team that, we talk about how we've played in a tough district. So have they. They played in a really good district and a really good, schedule all year long. One that really, really sticks out to me is a big win against Wimberley. Wimberley's a football team that's always playing, on the state championship. And so that showed me there, what type of team they are, but they are. I mean, they've got every bit of our attention and respect. They're very, very explosive offensively. I think averaging, 41 points a game. And so that's going to be definitely a big challenge to us. But they are, definitely a good football team and one that this program is really, early on, maybe I don't know, maybe 20 years ago might not have been the program that they are now, but I think like in 2016 or something, they maybe brought in an ex Badger, a coach that maybe played quarterback there, and just done an outstanding job because they've really, really started to improve and have been somebody that's played deep in the playoffs for the last 10 years.
In saying that, this playoff experience is going to be a little bit different for them. I think most of those years they spent in Region 3. Mm-hmm. And for anyone who knows anything about UIL, Region 3 travels less than any other region in the state. Well, now you move to Region 1, where you're going to travel more than any region in the state. And you talked about that in the opening. This is probably a game between two teams that are furthest away from anybody else in the entire state, mm-hmm. in any region, any matchup, any division. And when we had our 4-hour trip home, I kind of did a little research and figured out this game, Lampasas is going to travel maybe more than they ever have for a playoff game. We talked about a few years ago, they made it to the state semifinal game. They played Carthage, who is a steamroller, or has been a steamroller of a program, like along with the Alitos and Duncanvilles in the state. They played them in a game in Houston, North Houston. And so they traveled quite, I think, like 220 miles. Well, this one's going to be closer to 300. Sure. So it's going to be a little bit different for them in Region 1.
It is definitely with the travel, something that we are used to. Yeah. We had just come off of last week we were around the same area, so getting home at 3:30 in the morning and getting ready to game plan the next day we're no strangers to that. And so it's a neat matchup. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about, a little bit about the history of 465 miles apart. And, we're excited to get on the field against a team of this caliber. Really excited about the challenge. I know our kids are as well. And this is just going to be a really good matchup, and really we're excited about it.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Defensive side of the ball, what do you think is going to be key for the Demons they face this Lampasas offense?
They're explosive and they're very balanced. And so I do think, usually we'd say like, hey, we want to stop the run and force them to throw the football. Well, they're pretty good at that as well. And so I think we've got to make them earn everything that they get. I think if you say that we're going to go into this thing and we're going to shut these guys out, I don't know if that's realistic. Mm-hmm. But I think we've got to get stops when we need to get stops. Mm-hmm. I think we've got to try to create some turnovers. We've got to be aggressive on the defense. And that's what we're talking to our kids about. I mean, be aggressive, take some chances. Mm-hmm. And because that's what you're going to have to do to beat a team like this. You're going to have to take some chances. I think we're going to have to try to minimize the big plays. I think they're talented enough as well that they're going to get some. We've got to make sure that I think if we limit the amount of big plays, get some good timely stops and make them earn everything and create some turnovers. I think that'll be the key to us, getting a victory defensively.
I'm going to throw a couple comparisons to you, and you kind of tell me if these are what you think about this pre-snap wise. For guys that you faced this season, is it similar to West Plains?
Very similar. They're going to motion a lot of the same formations. their approach and how they present plays to you, very similar to them. West Plains was also run by a very talented quarterback. They're no different. I mean, this is the guy. I think I saw some type of stat or something that he might have 36 or 39 touchdowns on the season, and so he's I think he had he accounted for 6 of their touchdowns last week, and so they're going to keep in his hands, whether that's him running the football or whether it's him throwing it. He does a great job, and so they are going to present it very similar to West Plains, and just I think their quarterback run game is really good. So we're going to have to be aware of where he's at and what they're trying to do with him, and I think if we'll. It's going to be a challenge very similar as well. I think they've got a really big and physical offensive line. And so controlling the line of scrimmage is key here. Yeah. We've challenged our defensive line, our linebackers to play on their side of the football. And I think the best that we do that's where we're going to see our success defensively.
On the offensive side of the ball, what do you think is going to be key for Dumas to move the ball and score against this Badger defense?
I think we need to match them. I do. I like some of our matchups. I think that we have an opportunity to. We believe we can run the football. Sure. I think that's key. That we do establish a run. They're a 3-3 stack. Pretty aggressive with their linebackers. Defensive line really talented and aggressive. I think we can get some matchups in the secondary. I do. And so I think being able to, protect our quarterback and be able to throw the football down the field, challenge them vertically. We're going to have to protect the football. Again, I think, with their ability and what they've shown to they're averaging 41 points a game. I think we're going to have to make sure that, that we can score as well, be very, very efficient offensively. And then, challenge up front. Like I said, I do think we need to run the football. I think if we can run the football effectively, it's going to open up other things and bring a lot of success to our offense.
What do you think continuity has done for you guys offensively? Again, when most teams are kind of getting into a stretch, maybe where they feel like, well, we begin to really kind of gel, 5 or 6 games into the season. Well, these guys are finally getting their 5th and 6th games together. Is that something that you feel like you're kind of seeing with your O-line and maybe even your offense as a whole?
I do. And I just think, Colton's beginning to get comfortable with who's going to line up at wide receiver, because they were early in the season, we were games without certain guys. We were shuffling our offensive line around because we had some holes and some injuries there, shuffling some guys at running back. I do. Yeah. I think we're finally just starting to start to gel. We're finally getting comfortable with the same lineup each and every week. I think that's important, and I think you're seeing it. I would like to say I think Dumas has yet to play their best football, and that's great. That's a good thing that here you are in the playoffs, and you're really, really starting to maybe peak a little bit and start getting comfortable. And I'm excited about the football that we're playing. Excited about where our kids are at, and think that we have yet to play our best ball.
Well, it's exciting and it's been fun. I was going to ask you this. I started thinking about this yesterday, and I thought I'm going to ask him that on the show. Do you think subconsciously you're scheduling Mustang stadiums from being a Wheeler Mustang?
I didn't even think about that, but it works. And Mustangs are playing some pretty good ball right now too. So no, I didn't think of that, but very ironic.
For those of you that may not know, Coach in high school played for Wheeler, who's the Wheeler Mustangs. Last week, we played in Mustang Stadium in Denver City. Tonight, we're playing in the Mustang Bowl in Andrews. Coach, if we end up, we'll talk about the bracket in a second. I don't know if there's a Mustang Stadium that we can find. We may need to go to.
I think there might be one, maybe Sweetwater.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Hey, well, stay tuned. That's the first half of the Coaches Show. We're going to talk about the playoff bracket in just a moment. Talk about some of the playoff games going on in our area. Getting ready to watch the Dumas Demons take on the Lampasas Badgers tonight in the area round. Class 4A Division I football. We'll be back after this. All right, welcome back to the second half of the Coaches Show. And Coach, we've got the bracket here. These are the teams that have advanced. Again, Dumas last week defeating El Paso Austin 56-21. Lampasas took on Pecos on Thursday night last week. We kind of, Team Mill kind of paid attention to that, and it was Lampasas, a game that they controlled from the opening kickoff. They won 53-14. So that's how they got here. West Plains had a big victory over Clint, 42-8. Brownwood defeated Big Spring 56-13. Andrews, I think maybe this was one of the games I think that a lot of people were watching to kind of see what was going to happen. Sure. Andrews was the district champion out of District 3, and they defeated the fourth place team out of District 4, who was Burnett. It was a game, again, that Andrews kind of controlled throughout. They won 35-21. They'll face Randall, who won big over El Paso Ysleta, 71-27. Stephenville rolled, as you would expect number one team to do. They beat San Angelo Lakeview big, 70-0. And then Hereford, in a game that was a little bit closer, again, the closest one in the whole region, they won over El Paso Riverside 28-20. So, Coach, these are the final 8 teams left in the region. There's a lot of tradition. There's a lot of tough teams here in Region 1.
There is, and some new ones. Stephenville has not been a Region 1 team. Brownwood, I think, as well, has moved into Region 1, and then Lampasas. And so there are 3 new teams to Region 1 and some really, really good ones. And so, again, just excited that this bracket, as you can see, it's really looks a little bit different than it did last week. There were a lot more names up there, a lot more teams. And so we're excited that ours right up there at the top is still on the bracket. And just, think this is a really important round for us because, as you can see there, as you see how it starts to break down, we win this one and a potential matchup with another district opponent. So it'd be really, really neat, to see West Plains and Dumas in the next round.
It really would. Coaches, as we look at this bracket as well, there's a lot of teams that you're familiar with. Of course, our district teams. Brownwood, those a team that you saw in 7-on-7. Andrews is a team that we've played in the past. Now,
saw them at the line, but we've seen them at the lineman challenge.
Right. We've seen Stephenville at the lineman challenge. Lampasas may be a little bit new to us, but they're guys that you're familiar with because you've coached with them before.
Yes, sir. There's a really good friend at Lampasas, that I coach with, and Coach Robinson has coached with as well, and Tycoon, and so we are. And I'm familiar with Lampasas a little bit just because of the stage that they've taken as of late. There was a lot of attention on them. I think in 2019, when Ace Whitehead was their quarterback, and just really talented football team there. And so we watched them throughout the playoffs. But there's a lot of tradition up there. I mean, the Brownwood and you look at Andrews right now too. I mean, Andrews is a team that struggled early, but they really are starting to look pretty good right now and playing good football. And I think they're getting used to the system and they're changing offense. And again, be careful here. I mean, Stephenville's a really good football team, but so is Hereford. Yeah. I know that I'm familiar with. I coached with Coach Doty at Stephenville as well, as the head football coach out there, and so very familiar with a lot of these guys and what they do. And again, just excited about where we're at.
As the playoffs move on, every week you're like, oh man, look at these matchups. Like Region 1 to me is like, I love every single one of these matchups because I think for each one, and again, each week is new, but it's not necessarily about how successful a team's been. It's a lot will come down to how does a team match up? How do they attack? Or how is this team able to exploit maybe some weaknesses from the other group? And I see in each one of these matchups, I mean, we could be looking at 4 really good games in each one of these.
Sure. And I think it's important to know, I mean, where are they at too in week 12?
Yes.
It's a long season and how have the teams dealt with injury? And I mean, there might be some teams that hadn't seen any at this point, but are really maybe start getting more down. I don't know. I know where our team is. Yeah. I know that we've experienced this early and we're really, starting to really see maybe the best health that we've had all season long. And so that matters in the matchups as well about where you're at. And I think it's also important to note, I mean, it's a long season, long season. And how I just go back to my junior and senior year, we played for the state championship. And so playing football on December the 13th, that's a long year, and you get tired. And so it's how can your team leaders and how can your kids stay locked in and be where their feet are? Because that's tough, for our kids today. And how can you stay hungry? Can you keep being interested in showing up every single day and doing the same things over and over and over and not get tired of that? Because the teams that do that the best, it might not always, especially at this level too, it might not always be the most talented team that's standing at the end. It's who could handle everything throughout the season the best, who could handle injuries, who could handle the long season, who could stay hungry, who could continue to execute late in the season. Yeah. And so it's really neat to see.
Well, we're in the area round. Again, we mentioned there's 8 teams left in Region 1, so which means there's 32 teams left in the state. You begin to kind of think, man, all this that we've worked for is beginning to show that this is a special group.
Sure.
I think worth mentioning, if folks that are watching, you'll see 4 teams left from District 2-4A. There's only 3 other districts that can say that in the state. And listen to these teams in these districts. In Region 2, you have District 7, which has Salina, Panther Creek, Sulphur Springs, and Aubrey. Mm-hmm. I mean, you talk about tough districts. Again, I'd put our guys up against them, but again, wow, we're talking about 4 really good football teams there.
And we've seen a lot of those guys. We've actually competed against them. We've seen Salina in 7-on-7. We saw Frisco Panther Creek in 7-on-7. Mm-hmm. We've seen Aubrey at the state track meet. We've run against them in the mile relay. Mm-hmm. And so we know the talent and ability that those schools have.
The other district is in Region 3. It's District 9. Again, these teams, Kilgore, Lindale, Tyler, Chapel Creek, and Longview Pine Tree.
The same names over and over and over. I mean, those are the same teams that you see each year. Yep. Some of the final teams staying in the brackets.
Well, let's do kind of take a step forward in knowing that the next weekend, if you can get to this week right here, I think, Coach, if you would talk to coaches across the state, they would say if you can get your team to Thanksgiving week and you're playing on that week, that you've done something special, because again, you're able to kind of Thanksgiving week is special to play on, but it also kind of gives your team a moment to relax, focus solely on the game, but also being able to spend time with each other, being able to spend time with family. Man, you get to play a game at the end of the week, and just is a pretty cool thing.
It is really neat. I think if you would poll coaches across the state of Texas, there's not tons that have had Thanksgiving practice and that have played on Thanksgiving week. Yeah. I mean, and so it's a big deal. And anytime that you can get to that round in the Texas high school football playoffs, it's a huge accomplishment. And you talk about, because kids are out, they're out on Thanksgiving break, they're not having to go to school. Mm-hmm. And so you can have your practice earlier in the morning, and it's a chance to maybe catch your breath a little bit. And fun things happen. You have, Thanksgiving meals with your team. You have Thanksgiving meals with your family. Almost feels like you're coaching college ball, just strictly just coaching the game and not worried about anything else. So it's a really neat time, and it's a great accomplishment to be able to. So we're excited. We're excited about the opportunity to go play Lampasas and extend this thing and move one step forward and being able to play Thanksgiving football.
And so again, if you're able to win this weekend, you become one of the 4 teams in the region, but 16 teams are only left in the state. Again, at that point, you begin to look at anybody and go, man, anybody can win this.
Anybody can at that time. It does. I mean, if you've made it that far, you've got a good football team, and then you start talking about the things you just talked about. I mean, matchups really start mattering, and there will be favorable ones for your team, and then some that aren't. And so it does. Anybody can win at that time.
Yeah. So a lot of fun, and then you can begin to see even what happens down the line. You make it to Thanksgiving weekend. You're just one weekend away from being top 8 in the state, playing the regional championship, state quarterfinals. Again, I mean, it just begins to get more special and special each weekend.
It really does, and so I'm excited about it. Excited. You know, we always post one of these brackets out in the hall as well, and update it every week and watch our kids, and so we'll update it throughout the final one, and everybody's always trying to make that final one.
Yeah, for sure. Coach, talk about this season, the grind that you have when you get to this point of the season. You kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier. It's tough. You've been doing these things for, at this point, working on 3 months into the season. But for your team personally, how has adversity kind of turned into some momentum for you guys at this point?
Well, I just, there's a lot of teams that do not face that adversity. And I think this has actually made us grow and get us better. But as you fight adversity, I mean, you got to dig down and find something deep from within. And so our kids have been doing that for a long time. I mean, we started doing it week 2. Yeah. And so it does. I mean, I don't know if you really realize there's a physical strain, but there's a mental strain on kids and coaches as well. There's a lot of time and effort that is put in to a football season. And it's not only, when games start. This is a year-round process. Yeah. And I want to bring the light too to, we aren't just dealing with football players. These are multi-sport kids that bounce around every single, year long. We have kids that were going to 7-on-7 tournaments, lineman challenges, going to basketball tournaments. I mean, we have multi-sport kids that are competing year round. And so, we don't just have a bunch of football players out here that work for 3 months out of the year and then they're in their off season resting and relaxing. We ask a lot of our kids, and so it's a demanding time. And the football season probably more demanding of their time than any other sport, just because the amount of video that we watch, the amount of preparation that it takes. I mean, there's a reason why you only play one football game a week. On many of these other sports, you can play multiple games. You could go to a tournament and play 5-6 games. It's just not possible in football because it is a very, very physical game that's very taxing on your body physically. It's also very taxing on you mentally. So much game planning goes in. It takes us all week. It takes us 4 to 5 days to finally understand a game plan. Sure. And then you go play a physical game and then you're told, hey, just wipe that away. We got another one. Yeah. And so there's a lot of challenges on our kids and our coaches all week or all year long. And so we're to a time where, so that's the challenge. That's the challenge to our coaches, that we can, when it all matters and when it counts and when the bracket is closing down, don't get tired of showing up every day and working. Don't get tired. And the teams that really embrace the grind and embrace the game plans and the challenges and the adversity are the teams that are going to be standing in the final game.
And that's, to me, Coach, that each year when we kind of see it come out in the spring or the summer when they do it, it's one of the reasons why we continually see Dumas labeled as one of the top programs in the state. And it goes back to the work that you guys as coaches put in, but also the work that these kids dedicate themselves to and say, you know what? I see mom and dad doing this every day. I see them waking up early and getting to work and getting home late and being, worn out when you get home. And they go ahead and put that mentality into for themselves, and it becomes a part of who they are as students and football players.
Well, I think you could line us up. I mean, you can line us up with any team in the state. And, we might not be the most talented team, but I would put our kids up against anybody on just the investment, on their approach to trying to win games, on their approach to life. I would put our kids up against anybody. I don't know that anybody works any harder than we do, any smarter than we do. And I do. I think our kids and our coaching staff, I think we wring every ounce, out of that towel that we can get. And I'm proud. I'm proud of our kids. I'm proud. I really moved and started talking about this a little bit differently this year. I quit talking about sacrifices. Sacrifices seems negative to me. It was more about investment, because with investment, there's a return. And so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what we end in this season, what our record is. I promise you we'll reflect and we'll look at it and the return is going to be great from our investment this season. So,
yeah, I agree, Coach. It's been fun to watch, and it's still exciting to be a part of, knowing that, man, who knows what it's going to hold.
No doubt. I mean, I mean, if you don't believe it, I actually text some of our captains the other day, and one of them responded to me, and he believes that we can play in the final game, and why not? I mean, why not us?
Yeah.
So that's definitely our goal, and that's definitely our approach.
You make me start crying, Coach. Let's talk about some of the other games that are going on. I mean, these games in our region, West Plains and Brownwood again. These guys that you're a little bit familiar with from 7-on-7, team that you're very familiar with because we played them just a couple weeks ago. It's going to be a fun matchup.
It is, and now now that we're playing Lampasas, I'm seeing all of these other teams on video.
Sure,
I'm watching Brownwood, I'm watching Stephenville, and the other ones are in my district, so I'm familiar with. I've seen Andrews through teams that have played them in my district, so it's going to be a great match. I mean, Brownwood, had a great game with Lampasas, a 20-30 ball game, and so it's going to be a great matchup. I mean, Brownwood's has been a power. I mean, very tradition-rich football program there. I've watched them on film. They play the game really hard. Their kids get after it. So that's going to be a great game with them in West Plains.
That game is being played Friday night at Snyder, a little bit later than Dumas. So after our game is over, you can probably find this somewhere on NFHS or maybe some other outlet that'll be carrying this game because it'll be the winner of our game will take them on next week. The other two games are taking place on Thursday night. Randall and Andrews are playing at 7 o'clock Thursday night at Friendship. I think, again, this is a fun matchup because of what Andrews does well and what Randall has done well all season. It could be a lot of fun Thursday night and love it.
Agree. I mean, I think this is a careful one to watch. I mean, I think Andrews, you can't look at their records.
Yeah.
I think they're very similar to us. I mean, you can't look at it. Because I've looked at their scores as of late, and they're a different football team right now. They're playing at the right time. They run the slot T, which is a very, very different offense, and they're really aggressive and run and get to the line and snap the football. And so, and we know, I mean, Randall's a good football team. We've been on the field with them. What's great, you can look at all these scores, look at them all. I mean, and see how our district ended up. Look how that other district ended up, and they're very, very comparable of how the teams. From first place to fourth place, you look at Burnett and what they did. You look at, our first place team of West Plains all the way to Dumas, and you go look at the scores and the matchups. Very, very comparable.
Definitely. So the last matchup taking place was between Hereford and Stephenville. Again, this is a Thursday night game in Shotwell in Abilene. Again, I love the matchup of this game because there are some things that Hereford does, I think, as good or better than any team in our district efficiently. And they're going to face the number one team in the state in Stephenville, who does a lot of things well on both sides of the ball. It could be a really fun matchup. And don't be surprised if Hereford makes it just a really competitive game.
No, I mean, these kids right here play really hard.
Yeah.
Play really hard and physical. And I like their style of football. And, I think anytime their quarterback is really talented. I mean, anytime you've got him back there, he can make plays. And so I know what Stephenville has. I know their big physical offensive line and the players they have on the field. But again, be careful because Hereford will play really hard. I can promise you that.
Well, let's talk about just three other games in the area. Dalhart taking on Jim Ned. Dalhart is one of these teams I kind of feel like Andrews, maybe even like us a little bit, who they're getting healthy. They just got their quarterback back. They're beginning to play maybe their best football of the season now. They're taking on Jim Ned, who, again, traditional top power. They're a team that's always going to be there. They're a team that's experienced. They play Friday night at Lubbock Cooper.
Good matchup. And again, watch out because Dalhart is. I mean, they've got their quarterback back. I think he was back last week. I don't know that he played, but that's Coach Reed's son, who's a tremendous athlete, really big leader on their football team. And then Jim Ned, you look at them, I think they won a state championship, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Can't remember. But again, a really good matchup. Going to be a great game.
The next one, I think, again, it could be a decider of who takes on and is going to face maybe at some point Stanford in this region. Holly will play Sunray. That game's at Lubbock Cooper Liberty on Friday night.
I think Holly's coming off of a state championship.
Yes.
And so you know that. I mean, we know the year that Sunray's had and the talent that they have on the field. I think this is a really, really good matchup.
Yeah.
Sad that it happens this early, in the bracket, but a really, really good matchup. Interested to see how that one ends.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. The next one, your brother's playing in Wichita Falls on Saturday night at 6:30 or 6 o'clock, I think. Wichita Falls. They're playing Richland, who again, man, is a really good team.
They are, and I think they're glad that that's a Saturday game. I think Amarillo High got back at 7 a.m. The next day from El Paso. And so probably not a whole lot was going on that day as far as preparation.
Yeah.
So they gained them a day playing on Saturday, but they are playing another really talented team from the Metroplex. I think, Richland has maybe one of the most talented running backs around. I don't know that he's still playing. I think he suffered an injury earlier in the year and might have opted out for the rest of the season. So, but again, really talented. I think there's playmakers all over the field. But I know Chad's excited about his team and what they've got going, and I think it'll be a really good game.
Well, Coach, looking forward to the one that we've got.
Me too.
Again, it's always, I've been kind of pacing. I know that you have, but I've been kind of pacing around since Sunday, just ready to see these guys back on the field. It's been exciting to see how this team has come together. Coach, just excited what we can see what we can do on the field Friday night.
I am too. I know, yes, talking about pacing, I've been pacing as well, but we still got a little work to do.
Sure.
A little mental preparation, and excited to see our kids get on the field and pour it out. It's always fun watching them each week do that.
Coach, I want to mention just real quickly, there was a kid named Dylan Holt who was at the game on this past Friday night. He's a kid from Denver City. Wasn't able to go to watch them play, but loves football, came out to the game. You guys had some interaction with him. The team really kind of took him under our wings. It's kind of blown up into this big story. He's going to be at the game on Friday night. It's a neat deal that to see how your coaches and the team have embraced him, and it's just been a really cool story.
It is neat, and I think the biggest thing from this, I think it just really shines a light on Dumas and our kids. I've always said that ever since I moved here, of the way that our kids embrace new people, whether it be somebody that moves in here, whether it be somebody that decides that they want to, come out on a team their final senior year, whatever that looks like. That was a really neat. I mean, Dylan, just a kid that wandered up in pregame. I just think it shows. I mean, there you are, you're nervous and really, really focused on a game. But I think it really just proves that it's more than football here in Dumas, Texas. And it was an opportunity for us to embrace a kid, a kid that probably wanted to be they were playing the same night, but it took him some travel, and this was close, and he came down, and it was just a great part of us. He was in pictures, and it's neat. He is going to be at the game. We got sideline passes for him, and I think it's cool. I think it just shows, why God put us on this earth. I mean, He put us on this earth to serve others, to love others, no matter what is going on. And I think this could be a start to something that could last a long time. I really do. I think it's I think it's also shines light too that there's always somebody watching our kids. That's a sixth grader. Yeah. And he told me, he said, Coach, I can't wait till Friday Night Lights. I'm a sixth grader. I play center. And it didn't matter if he knew our kids, knew us. He held football players and coaches up here. And so I'm so glad, the experience that he's had with our kids and our coaches, and just that he can see a little bit. I don't think it's real hard to fall in love, with our kids. That's why I have, because of who they are and what they do. And he really, really fell in love with our kids, I think, and saw that we all see as well. So it was neat.
Really cool. Well, Dumas Demons getting ready to take on the Lampasas Badgers in the Mustang Bowl in Andrews. Area round of the Class 4A Division I football playoffs. Game's coming up right after this.
You're watching Dumas ISD TV.